Hello friends, Brandy here with Falcon Healing Arts. I hope you're doing really well, and welcome back to my channel where we dive deep into holistic health. And you may know, if you've been here before, that it's really important to me to help you feel empowered about the choices you're making and to take charge of your health. We live in a time where the food industry, healthcare, politics, all often fail us, but you can still make informed choices that protect you and your family. In today's video, we're going to get into why chronic disease is so prevalent, why food quality is declining in the United States compared to other countries, and how politics is getting in the way. But don't worry, at the end, I do have some information for you that you can download, including some tips on how you can lead a low-tox and organic lifestyle on a budget. Let's get started. Earlier this week, Senator Ron Johnson and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. hosted the American Health Crisis Roundtable in Washington, D.C. And on the panel were many doctors, nutritionists, other influencers such as Dr. Casey Means, her brother Callie Means, fitness leader Jillian Michaels, and Dr. Jordan Peterson. This roundtable exposed some hard truths about how broken our food system is and why America is facing a health crisis like no other nation. They brought up many concerns that are specific to people in the United States, like the growing rates of obesity, chronic diseases like allergies, asthma, autism, diabetes, infertility, learning deficits, and attention disorders. And the startling fact that even though we spend the most on healthcare in the world, we have one of the sickest populations. Healthcare here in the United States is not focused on wellness, and instead seems to be captured by the pharmaceutical industry and chemical companies like Monsanto. One of the most viral clips from this discussion was when Vani Hari and Jason Karp were talking about the differences between food quality in the US and other countries. And side by side, they held up bags of Fruit Loops cereal. And the one from Canada was very muted because it's colored with fruit and vegetable dyes. The American cereal, on the other hand, was much more vibrant and attractive, you can imagine, to younger kids. And it also happens to be loaded with artificial food dyes and other chemicals that are banned in other countries. Artificial food dyes are linked to hyperactivity, allergies, and are suspected carcinogens. And for this reason, food dyes such as red dye number 3 is actually banned throughout most of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, China, and Japan. But the FDA allows it freely here in the United States. Other countries also have stricter rules around using herbicides and pesticides on food, as well as genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. And you have to wonder why. What is it that these other countries and their populations are seeing that the United States and our population does not? And that's not it. These are the other areas where the FDA has failed us. The food pyramid and the MyPlate nutrition programs, which demonize saturated fat and underplay the role of sugar, conventionally farmed food, and processed foods with inflammation that drives chronic disease and even malnutrition, not addressing the root cause of the high mortality rates with the COVID-19 pandemic, when everyone knew that the people dying were usually obese or had a few comorbidities. And they were punishing doctors and other influencers who were even talking about us using alternative therapies besides the vaccines, remdesivir and Paxlovid, that were the only medically accepted solutions. Besides allowing allowing toxic chemicals in our food, the FDA has also allowed toxic chemicals in our water. There's a huge list, but fluoride is one of my main concerns since I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I've been healing from that for almost 20 years. Much of Europe does not fluoridate their water at all, and they're doing just fine. And one other area where the FDA and our government really has failed us is using climate change as an excuse to limit meat consumption and to popularize lab-created soy alternatives to meat, which are known for increasing estrogen in both sexes. Now, I know this sounds overwhelming. It sounds like there's a lot that we're up against, but there is still a lot you can do to protect your health. When I first awakened to the fact that the United States has a huge toxicity program, it made me really, really angry. And this is when I was diagnosed with this thyroid condition. And I think it was actually 2005 that I was diagnosed. Of course, I had never intended to poison my body, but I faced the facts that that's really what it was, that my body was poisoned. My body was then deprived of nutrients that I needed in order to sustain health and turn over healthy new cells. It didn't feel fair that I had to go out of my way to filter my water, which I'm still doing, for buying exclusively organic foods to avoid all the pesticides and herbicides that were disrupting my gut lining, and to change out all of my household and beauty products. But once I learned all of this, once I had systems in place, once I had solutions, I never ever went back. I turned my anger into advocacy. I teach what I know to my clients, my family, and friends, and I've raised my healthy son in what I feel is the most wholesome way possible. Again, we eat mostly organic, homemade meals. We've reduced the toxic chemicals in our home, and also emphasizing healthy lifestyle choices like getting enough sleep, getting plenty of exercise, and spending time out in the sun without sunscreen, really allowing our skin to absorb as much vitamin D as possible. We're hardly ever sick, but when we are, we just keep doing the same, eating healthy, slowing down, resting, and using acupuncture, essential oils, and herbs instead of pharmaceutical drugs. Now, I still know a lot of people, probably the majority of people I know, don't take all this as seriously. And there's a few reasons why, and I think it's important to go through all of these in case there is one that you're aligned with that may be blocking you from making healthier choices, and to clear up any misunderstandings too. So some people who are reluctant to lead a healthier, low-tox lifestyle really believe in the government. They believe that it's there to help protect us, and can't imagine that they would do anything to harm our health. And I know a lot of people think that it's intentional what they're doing, that they make more money off sick people. I don't feel that that's true. I think it's more about arrogance at this point and are reluctant to just change that. Politics is another reason why many people are reluctant to follow these guidelines or to even admit that there's a problem, because if you haven't noticed, there is a huge divide between the two main political parties. And it's very, very interesting to see how it falls now. At this roundtable, for instance, many of the presenters said that they are nonpartisan. They just want to get this information out there to help the United States population, to help Americans. But here, this whole event was hosted by a Republican senator. And when I was looking for this whole video, I noticed that it was only broadcast by Fox and another conservative news organization. And I could be wrong, but when I was doing my search, I did not see this covered at all by any of the mainstream news organizations, which tend to be more liberal leaning and this is the thing, they don't want to be associated with Senator Ron Johnson and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And this is really sad because this should be an issue that we can all unite around. And I believe it was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. who said, when he was actually stepping down from running in the presidential race, and he was talking about making America healthy again, he said that people need to love their children more than they hate their political opponents. That is what this all comes down to. I also know of a lot of people who are not interested in aligning with this lifestyle because they feel disconnected from spirit and nature. And this is sometimes linked with the first thing I was talking about trusting government. Some people who are not spiritual trust their government as the ultimate authority instead of our Creator. And there's also this idolatry of doctors and the medical system that gets wrapped up in all of this. Greater spiritual trust happens automatically when you are on a healing journey, especially when you're using natural modalities that address the body, heart, mind, and spirit. That's exactly what happened to me. And having this spiritual support is really encouraging. It helps you stand up to all of these systems that feel like they're against us. So this is not something that can be forced, but if you do commit to your healing path, no doubt you will have this deeper experience, and it will be easier to align with a natural and organic approach to living. And then there's a group of people who I know believe that healthy lifestyles like this are elitist and expensive, and that is not at all true. And it's this objection right here where I can help you the most. I found that living a low-tox lifestyle and buying organic food is actually not more expensive. I cleared this up in a blog post I wrote a few years ago that I'm going to share with you in the description below, where I offer concrete, practical tips on how to make an organic lifestyle more affordable. Some of the tips, for example, include buying in bulk or going to natural food stores to get your food. It's actually more expensive to buy organic at these conventional stores like Safeway or Lucky. I talk about CSAs and other resources that can help you make changes on a budget. So again, check out the link in the description below for that. However, I've also made it even easier for you. You don't need to go through the whole blog post if you don't want all those details. I've made a quick checklist for you that you can post on your refrigerator or another visible place at home that can remind you of simple changes you can make daily that will improve your health and wellness. As you start making these changes, I encourage you to trust your own journey and the deeper connections you'll form with nature and the divine. Healing is possible, and it starts with the changes you make every single day. Don't forget to check out the resources I've linked below. Please like this video if you found it useful, share it with a friend who could use the support, and consider subscribing to this channel if you would like other wellness advice for yourself and your family. Thanks for watching, friend. I hope you feel fully empowered to take control of your health. Well wishes.